Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so I'm headed to Nakano today to rectify what I think is my biggest horological mistake. And it's a costly lesson that I'm going to pay for, but it'll put it behind me, and I hope you'll learn something from this. Don't change out parts of your otherwise original Rolex watch willy-nilly. I mean, really give it a lot of thought, because once those parts are gone, you may regret it later. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, link in the description to a video, and that story is in there. The video is worth watching, and the story is embedded in there, so you'll figure it out when you watch that video. But long story short, it has to do with getting back a tritium Fat 4 insert that I stupidly lost during the service. Now, it was a 14060, no date sub, all right? It was being serviced, and it's kind of interesting because I was on pins and needles that they were going to replace the hands of the watch. But then why would I go and replace the bezel insert? And it's kind of funny and tragic at the same time, like a tragic horological comedy, because the woman behind the desk said, okay, you want to keep the hands original, you're really worried about that, but you're wanting to change out the bezel insert. And she was puzzled by that. And in retrospect, she should have been, because it's ridiculous. I should have wanted to keep it all original. But in my mind, I wanted to keep the dial and the hands original because they were like close to each other. But the bezel insert was sort of outside of the dial of the watch, if you will. So I thought, okay, I can change that. No big deal. It's kind of like somebody thinking of changing the clasp of their watch and thinking, well, you know, when I look down at it, I don't even see the clasp. But then later, realizing that that new clasp isn't right for the watch and bothering them. And anyway, that's pretty much what happened. So I asked my viewers what I should do, and I think one person weighed in and was like, yeah, you should get the bezel insert. That's all I need. That's all the encouragement I need. Now, it's kind of interesting. Something else happened. A few people were asking about, you know, like this shop and do they have a website? And so I was thinking, you know, what if they buy that insert out from under me? Now, the chances are probably nobody's going to. I mean, who would spend nearly $1,000 USD on a piece of aluminum, right? Pretty ridiculous. But I thought to myself, if somebody were to buy it, if I were to go there and it were to be gone, I would be really disappointed. So that's why I'm jumping on it right now. And look, you know, you can find what I think are probably original bezel inserts on eBay. There's a dealer, Alma Watches, out of Germany, and they often have these Fat 4 tritium inserts, 300 USD, right? So why am I paying 3 times that? Well, because I don't know about Alma Watches, and I trust this guy. And so why am I paying 3 times the price for this? Security, that's it, all right? And wow, I mean, it's interesting. I paid $150 to have a brand new insert, but that 4 ain't the same. And so here I am paying more than the whole service at the time to rectify that. Kind of interesting. Anyway, let's go. Let's get this done so I could have some peace in my life. On the way there, I stopped at a few shops, so we'll look at a couple of pieces. The two-tone GMT Master 2. Now, this is a brand new piece, and if you look at the tag, they list the retail price and their selling price both with and without tax. And while this is selling for over 1 million yen premium, which to the Japanese buyer feels like about 10,000 USD. This GMT goes for a far greater premium, despite the fact that it's a cheaper watch retail and the fact that this is a used example. So it goes to the hierarchy of these two watches. And I guess the smart money is in the two-tone GMT if you're looking to pay retail. A beautiful pre-ceramic 16710 GMT Pepsi, full box, full papers. It's not cheap, but if you know your GMTs, you don't need to read Japanese to look at that tag and know something's up. Pause it, think about it for a second. Sure, it's a stick dial that came out during the D serials like this 2006 piece, but that's not it. All right, stop right there. I need to explain something to make sure we're all on the same page because it'll help you appreciate what you're about to see. As for the sounds, if I can't find the sounds of Japan, well, they find me. That is an actual Japanese jackhammer going. All right, so the 16710 pre-ceramic GMT, for over 2 decades, it had the 3185 movement with the Niverox hairspring. But the last year or so of the 16710, right before it turned ceramic, it had the 3186 movement. And the difference between those two is the latter, the 3186 movement, has the blue parachrome hairspring. That's a very special anti-magnetic hairspring. It's the heart of the watch, probably the most important aspect of a mechanical watch, the hairspring. And this is, well, probably one of the best in the world, all right? So those latter GMT Master 2s are very special, and they go for $25,000 plus. And you find them in the Z serials, the last of the Z serials, and the M serials. All right, so as far as serial numbers go, it goes D, Z, M, all right? And the Ds were 2005, 2006. And the Zs were 2006, 2007, and the Ms, 2007, 2008. And so if you find an M serial 16710, that is awesome because for sure it's going to have the 3186 movement. As far as the Z serials, it depends, because if it's the latter Zs, 2007 on, that's fine, but if it's a 2006 Z serial, it's not going to have it. What about the Ds? The Ds don't have it. And so when I saw this, I thought, hold on, that's a 2006 piece with a 3186 movement? What's going on here? All right, so there's a test you can do. It's called the wiggle test. And what you do is you pull out the crown to the second position, and that allows you to jump the local hour hand. And on the 3185 movement, when you do that, the 24-hour hand wiggles. All right, that's the wiggle test. And if it wiggles, it's the 3185 movement. The 3186 movement, it doesn't wiggle. So if you have a Z serial 16710 in front of you and you do the wiggle test and that 24-hour hand doesn't wiggle, then you got a 3186 movement, and that's awesome. And if it does wiggle, you got the 3185 movement, all right? All right, the shop staff wouldn't let me touch the crown, but he did it himself. Jumping that hour hand, what do we see? Well, I see a wiggling 24-hour hand. What does that mean? This is not a 3186 movement watch. This has the 3185 movement. So this is why you have to be very careful doing your pre-ceramic Rolex shopping, because even in an honest country like Japan, they make mistakes. And look, I don't know if this was an honest mistake or not. Leave a comment letting me know what you think, but I'll say it's a mistake, surely in their favor. And I feel sorry for anybody going for a 3186 movement that lays out the money for one and is going to find out down the road that they paid for a 3185 movement, which ain't that special. And that's how you do a tangent. All right, don't we have a bezel insert to buy? All right, guys, well, how did it go? Well, I'm walking around with about 1,000 USD in Japanese currency, and it turns out I'm going home empty-handed. Shinjirarenai. That means I can't believe it in Japanese, and I can't believe it. The bezel insert was gone. All right, I asked the guy about it. I pulled up my video on YouTube, and I showed him. I said, where is that bezel insert? He didn't seem to think he sold it, but he couldn't find it. And he said he might have used it on a sea dweller. And so I asked him, where is the sea dweller? And he doesn't know. So the bezel insert is missing in action. But he's got my contact information, and I guess they'll call me if it turns up, or if another 14060 bezel insert with a tritium pip and a big fat 4 and the serifs turns up. And I'm doubly going home empty-handed. I actually planned on buying that belt, all right? I decided to go full-on Rolex fanboy, but that sold too. Looks like a Chinese customer stopped by and purchased it. So hope he's enjoying that belt. I was looking forward to both. I mean, the belt to wear and the bezel insert to have and hoard. And I'm going home empty-handed. I can't believe it. But it goes to show you that there's a lot of turnover here in Nakano. I mean, people come here to buy watches, and they do. And some of the shops that I stopped by, it was like a completely different collection of watches. I was just here like a couple weeks back. And, oh well, I guess we're gonna have to change the lesson of this video. All right, so the original lesson of this video, don't change out parts. Well, I guess we're gonna have to tweak that and come up with a new lesson. If you see something you want, jump on it, because somebody might buy it out from under you. You might have to go home empty-handed. But hey, I guess the upside of all of this is I saved some money. Or maybe I just put off the inevitable. I mean, I think if you do what I did today and you commit to coming out to Nakano and spending the kind of money I was gonna spend, I think it's already probably done in your mind, so it's probably gonna happen in the future, and it's probably better to do it sooner than later. I'm looking to get that issue behind me. And while I am disappointed, I don't have that mix of feelings that I know I would. I'd be happy to have gotten that bezel insert. Really stoked, actually, to get the belt. But also a little bit guilty having spent the money on what most non-watch people would say is craziness. Anyway, let me know what you think about all of this. What a weird day. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time. All right, guys, I'll leave you with this. There are some Z serials with stick dials. So the real bee's knees is if you can get a stick dial Z serial with the 3186 movement, that is a serious grow right there.